Getting your heart rate zones wrong can derail months of training, or even worse, lead to injury or burnout. Today I'm going to show you exactly how to calculate your personal heart rate zone, step by step, using several different methods from simple to advanced. For each method, I'll show you how to start, who it works best for, a real-world example, troubleshooting tips, plus the pros and cons. These lessons come from chapter 4 of my new and first book, Running Breakthroughs, which I'm thrilled to share with you. The book is available now at florisgierman.com, at Barnes & Nobles, at Amazon worldwide, and at a variety of different retailers. The book is a summary of 10 years of podcast conversations with elite athletes and with experts, all of my lessons learned from coaching thousands of athletes globally, and my own personal running and health lessons. It's the book I wish I had when I started running. It would have saved me years of trial and error. Head to florisgierman.com for amazing bonuses with your order. The more you buy, the more you get. And the book is available as audiobook, paperback, hardcover, and ebook. Amazing to already see more than 135 5-star reviews on Amazon right now, and I can't thank you guys enough for the support. Alright, let's dive in. I want you to remember that there's no single perfect method to calculate your heart rate zones. And by the end of this chapter, you will understand which method or combination of method works best for your individual situation. Method 1, the talk test. Quick start. During your run, try having a conversation with a running partner or speak on the phone. If you can do this comfortably, you're in the right zone for aerobic development. The talk test is the simplest way to identify different intensity zones using only your breathing. Zone 1 and 2. Easy aerobic. Complete sentences flow easily. Zone 3. Moderate. Short phrases between breaths. Zone 4 and 5. Hard. Only a few words at a time or no talking possible. Who it's best for? Beginners just starting out with intensity management. Runners who don't have or don't want to use heart rate monitors. Athletes who train in environments where heart rate can be misleading. For example, extreme heat or cold, altitude, etc. Anyone looking for a free, intuitive method. I want to share a real-world example of a runner named John. He's a beginner runner who constantly found himself exhausted after his run. After he joined our coaching program, I challenged him to just run at a conversational pace. Initially, this was quite challenging for him, and sometimes he had to take walk breaks and slow down significantly. But after about 3 months, he ended up running his first 10K. And it was to his surprise that he was running at a faster pace than previously, while now he was able to maintain a conversation with his friend. And so these improvements in the short term might seem challenging, but in the long term they really pay off after you're just consistent and patient with this. Troubleshooting the talk test. Challenge. I feel too slow when I can talk easily. Solution. Remember, this is temporary. Your talking pace will get faster as fitness improves. Challenge. I can talk at the start, but not later in the run. Solution. This is normal cardiac drift. Slow down as needed to maintain talking ability. Challenge. I feel awkward talking during runs. Solution. Try counting to 10 out loud instead, or recite a familiar phrase. Challenge. My breathing seems fine, but my legs are burning. Solution. This indicates local muscle fatigue. Build more base mileage at this easy pace. Advantages. It requires no equipment. Works anywhere, anytime. Automatically adjusts to environmental conditions such as heat, humidity, etc. And it accounts for daily fluctuations in your physical state. Limitations. It is less precise for intentional zone transitions. The perception of conversational pace varies between individuals. And it is more difficult to use for interval training with quick intensity changes. Here's one thing you can try. Have an actual conversation with a friend on the phone while you're running. If the conversation becomes challenging to hold, just slow down your pace or take a walk break until the conversation flows naturally. Let's dive into method 2, nose breathing or nasal breathing. Quick start. On your next run, breathe only through your nose. When you start to feel the need to open your mouth to breathe, you have left your aerobic zone. Nose breathing naturally limits your intensity and helps identify your zones. Zone 1 to 2, easy aerobic, comfortable breathing through nose only. Zone 3, moderate, nasal breathing becomes challenging. Zone 4 to 5, hard, need to breathe through the mouth. Andrew Huberman notes on an episode of his podcast that nasal breathing is a reliable indicator of aerobic intensity, naturally guiding you in the right training zone. Breathing patterns respond quicker to intensity changes than heart rate, offering immediate intuitive feedback. Who it is best for? Runners looking to develop better breathing efficiency. Those who tend to push too hard during easy runs. Runners looking to train without technology. Athletes with inconsistent heart rate responses. Individuals prone to exercise-induced asthma. Nasal breathing warms and filters air. Let's take a look at another real-world example, and this is Mia's transformation. Mia was a type A runner who constantly pushed herself into the high-intensity zone on every run. Despite increasing her training volume, her half-marathon time stagnated at 1:55 for 3 years. When she committed to nose breathing during runs for 8 weeks, she initially had to slow down her pace by nearly 2 minutes per mile, or 1 minute 15 seconds per kilometer. By week 8, she could maintain her previous normal pace while breathing mostly through her nose. A month later, she ran a 1:47 half marathon with less perceived effort than her previous races, an 8-minute personal best. Let's take a look at troubleshooting for nose breathing. Challenge: my nose starts dripping, runny during runs. This is very normal during initial weeks of nasal breathing on your runs. I've personally been there, and I know many other runners in our PB program have. Hills make nasal breathing impossible. Either slow down significantly on hills or take walk breaks while maintaining nose breathing. Walking is totally normal. I walk very frequently during my runs, especially on the trails and on the hills. I feel like I'm not getting enough air. Slow your pace more. Try nasal strips to open your nostrils, or start with short intervals of nose breathing. Advantages: no equipment needed, unless using nasal strips. Creates a natural limiter preventing overexertion. It improves breathing efficiency over time. And it provides immediate feedback on intensity. Limitations: it is not precise for determining exact heart rate zones. Individual differences in nasal passage size affects results, so the size of your nostrils. Can be challenging with allergies or congestion. And as efficiency improves, your zones can change. Let's talk about method 3 here, the MAF method with the 180 formula. Quick start. Subtract your age from 180 to find your maximum aerobic heart rate. Stay at or below this number during all aerobic training sessions. The MAF method, developed by Dr. Phil Maffetone, uses a simple formula to find your aerobic heart rate. Start with 180 minus your age to set your base MAF number. Adjust based on your current health and fitness profile. Subtract 10 if you have a major illness, take regular medication, are recovering from surgery, or suffer chronic overtraining. Subtract 5 if you have infections, allergies, asthma, injuries, aren't improving, have excess body fat, or are new to training. No adjustment if you've trained consistently 4+ times per week for up to 2 years without issues. Add 5 if you've trained consistently over 2 years and remain injury-free. Your MAF zones range from 10 beats below your MAF number up to your MAF number. For example, if you're a healthy 40-year-old runner, 180 minus 40 is 140. So your MAF zone is 130 to 140. Who it's best for? Runners returning from injury, those who tend to overtrain, anyone building an aerobic base, athletes who have hit performance plateaus, runners with a history of injury or burnout, and competitive runners looking to strengthen their foundation. Let's take a look at a real-world example, and this is Michael's comeback story. Michael, a 38-year-old marathoner, had completed 6 marathons at around 3:45, but developed persistent knee pain. After his last race, he developed persistent knee pain that wouldn't resolve despite 6 months of physical therapy. After he joined our training program, we calculated his MAF rate at 137, and this was 180 minus 38 minus 5. His initial pace at this heart rate was nearly 12 minutes per mile, so 727 minutes per kilometer. A shock for someone who used to train at 830 minutes per mile, 517 minutes per kilometer. After 12 weeks of strict MAF training, his pace at 137 beats per minute improved to 945 minutes per mile, 604 minutes per kilometer. More importantly, he trained pain-free. 3 months later, his MAF pace dropped to 905 minutes per mile, 539 minutes per kilometer. He then ran a 3:29 marathon with negative splits and no knee pain, despite significantly less weekly mileage than his previous training cycles. Troubleshooting the MAF method. Challenge. My MAF pace is embarrassingly slow. Solution. Everyone starts out somewhere. Focus on the process, not your current pace. My heart rate spikes too quickly. Start with run-walk intervals. Run until your heart rate reaches MAF. Walk until it drops to MAF minus 10. I can't keep my heart rate low enough on any incline. Walk all hills initially. Your ability to run inclines while maintaining MAF will improve. My MAF pace isn't improving after several weeks or months. Check several factors like your sleep, your nutrition, your stress. Make sure you train enough for at least 4 to 5 hours per week aerobically. Ensure you're truly staying at or below MAF. The advantages, simple to calculate and remember. Takes health and fitness into account. No maximum heart rate test needed. This is good, especially for athletes who are injury prone. Automatically adjusts as you age, and has helped thousands improve performance while reducing injuries. Limitations. It is less accurate for individuals with unusual high or low maximum heart rates. It may need further personalization for athletes over 55. It can lead to extremely slow running or walking initially, which some find discouraging. It requires an honest self-assessment for proper category selection. Remember, the MAF method forces you to build a foundation before adding speed work. Trust the process, even when that means initially having to slow down significantly. Let's take a look at method number 4, zone training with a percentage of maximum heart rate. Quick start. Estimate your maximum heart rate with 220 minus your age. Multiply this by 0.6 and 0.7 to find your zone 2 range. For example, a 40-year-old athlete with an estimated max heart rate of 180, making their zone 2 range 108 to 126. This method estimates training zones based on percentage of maximum heart rate. 1. Determine your maximum heart rate through either the estimation formula, 220 minus your age, although this can be very inaccurate, or you can do a field test. This is a structured workout approaching maximum effort. Then step 2 here, calculate your zones based on percentages. Zone 1 is very easy, 50 to 60% of max heart rate. Zone 2, easy aerobic, 60 to 70% of max heart rate. Zone 3, moderate, 70 to 80% of max heart rate. Zone 4, threshold, 80 to 90% of max heart rate. Zone 5, maximum, this is 90 to 100% of max heart rate. Let's talk about a field test protocol to determine your maximum heart rate. After you warm up, you perform 3 to 4 progressive all-out efforts. This is like challenging. You really got to go pedal to the metal on these for like 2 to 3 minutes. And these are hard workouts. You take a short recovery in between. So you do like an all-out effort, do a short recovery in between, you do another all-out effort, and you repeat that 3 to 4 times. Sometimes adding a hill in can actually help here. One thing to pay attention to is even when you feel you have pushed it to the max, you might still not be at your max heart rate. So doing these are requiring a lot out of you. Don't underestimate how hard it is to actually get to your true max heart rate here. Who it's best for: runners enjoying structured training with different intensities, athletes who have accurately determined their true maximum heart rate. Troubleshooting for percentage-based zones. Challenge: my estimated max heart rate doesn't seem accurate. Solution: consider a field test or adjust zones based on perceived effort. Challenge: I find it difficult to stay in the assigned zones. Solution: create buffer zones of 2 to 3 beats and focus on the purpose of the run rather than exact numbers. Challenge: my zones feel too low or high compared to my perceived effort. Your maximum heart rate might differ from age-predicted formulas. Adjust based on a field max heart rate test result. I'm afraid to do a max heart rate test. Use a sub-maximum test, like 20 minutes at hard effort, and then add 5 to 10 beats to your highest reading. Advantages: it creates ranges rather than a single number. 220-H formula scales with age. It's widely understood in training programs, and it provides clear zones for different training purposes. Limitations: the 220-H formula is often inaccurate and field tests carry injury risk. Many athletes don't push hard enough during tests to reach true maximum. It doesn't account for individual variations in heart rate response. Let's move over to method 5, the Karvonen Formula. This is the heart rate reserve method, so we're going to take resting heart rate into account here as well. Quick start: measure your resting heart rate first thing in the morning. Subtract this from your maximum heart rate to find your heart rate reserve. Calculate percentages of this reserve, then add back the resting heart rate. I'm going to describe the formula here in detail, and it might be a little bit hard to follow along. So what you could also do is go to my website, extramileage.com/HR-calculator. So that is extramileage.com/HR-calculator. And there you can just fill out your resting heart rate and your max heart rate, and it gives you a zone breakdown. But I still want to walk you through how this is calculated. The heart rate reserve method offers a more personalized approach. Measure your resting heart rate first thing in the morning before getting out of bed. Measure or estimate your maximum heart rate, 220-H. Calculate your heart rate reserve, HRR, which is maximum heart rate minus resting heart rate. Determine your zones using percentages of your HRR, then add your resting heart rate. So this would be zone 1, 50 to 60% of HRR plus resting heart rate. Zone 2, 60 to 70% of HRR plus resting heart rate. Zone 3, 70 to 80% of HRR plus resting heart rate. Zone 4, 80 to 90%, and Zone 5, 90 to 100% of HRR plus resting heart rate. Who it's best for: runners seeking greater precision, those with accurate maximum and resting heart rate values, athletes whose fitness is changing rapidly, runners with unusual high or low resting heart rates. Let's take a look at another example, and this is David's personalization journey. David, a 51-year-old runner with 15 years of experience, found standard heart rate formulas frustrating. With a resting heart rate of only 42 beats per minute and measured max heart rate of 195, higher than age predicted, standard formulas put him in the zones that felt wrong. Using the heart rate reserve, his zone 2 calculated to 134 to 149 versus the 117 to 136 using simple percentages. This personalized range aligned well with his talk test results and subjective effort. With newly calibrated zones, David successfully completed his first 50K. Troubleshooting heart rate reserve method. Challenge: the calculation seems complicated. Solution: use our online calculator at extramileage.com/HR-calculator. My resting heart rate varies during the day. Use a 7-day average of morning measurements for more stability. My zones still don't match how I feel. Your true max heart rate may differ from estimates. Consider a field test. Advantages: it is more accurate than simple percentages of max heart rate by factoring in resting heart rate. It reflects current fitness level. As fitness improves, your resting heart rate decreases. It accounts for individual cardiovascular differences. and it adjusts naturally as fitness improves. Limitations: still requires knowing your maximum heart rate. It requires accurate resting heart rate measurement. Resting heart rate fluctuates based on stress, hydration, and sleep quality. It is a more complex calculation than simpler methods. Let's take a look at the last method that we'll dive into, and that is lab testing. Quick start: schedule testing at a sport performance laboratory for the most precise, personalized heart rate training zones based on your unique physiology. Laboratory testing provides lactate threshold testing, measures your blood lactate levels as intensity increases. VO2 max testing, it analyzes your oxygen consumption and carbon dioxide production. And detailed personalized heart rate zones based on your unique physiology. Who it's best for: competitive runners seeking maximum performance, athletes who haven't found success with other methods, those with unusual physiological responses to exercise, and runners wanting the most accurate data possible. Let's take a look at a real-world example by Jennifer. Jennifer is a 62-year-old competitive age group runner, and she was frustrated with lack of progress. The MAF Formula placed her aerobic pace at 118, which felt absurdly easy. Lab testing revealed her actual aerobic threshold was at 132, far higher than the MAF Formula predicted. By adjusting her zones upwards based on actual physiology, she trained more effectively. 6 months later, she set a 9-minute improvement on a marathon PR and qualified for the Boston Marathon. Let's go over troubleshooting for the lab testing. Challenge: my test results seem off. Solution: ensure you're well rested, hydrated, and not ill on test day. Consider retesting if results don't make sense. Lab testing is expensive. Consider it a one-time investment. Retest only every 6 to 12 months or after significant fitness challenges. I can't find a testing facility near me. Some sport medicine clinics and universities offer testing. Alternatively, combine other methods for best approximation. My zones changed dramatically from my previous approach. Transition gradually to new zones. Trust the process and evaluate how you feel. Advantages: it's the most accurate and tailored to your physiology, precisely identifies aerobic and anaerobic thresholds, it provides insights into metabolic health, and it eliminates guesswork in training. Limitations: it can be costly, $100 or $200 or more per session. Testing involves maximum effort with some injury risk. Results affected by temporary conditions such as fatigue, stress, and hydration, and it requires regular retesting as fitness evolves. Most successful runners use a few different methods to see what the results are. For example, they might do a talk test and go out there, warm up well, and then look at the heart rate and see they can have a comfortable conversation at, let's say, a 135 heart rate. And then they will go out and do, let's say, a heart rate reserve method calculation and see what is the input for there. Maybe they do their base building at a low intensity using the talk test, but then once they start doing high intensity, they want some more accurate calculations there. Others might use the MAF 180 formula because they really like that flexibility also with how it adjusts based on how they feel that day. For example, if they're coming back from an injury, or if they're coming back from a cold or illness. Others might be using the lab test for a very specific input, and they then compare those inputs of that data with some of these other ones. And so I think combining these few different inputs and then still seeing even on the day-to-day how things are going and how things are changing, because I've seen pros and cons with all of these different training methods. I want to take a look at one more example, and that's from a runner named James. He's an ultra runner in our training program, and he used MAF training at 138 heart rate for 3 months, and then had lab testing done to confirm his aerobic threshold was actually at 140. Now he uses his heart rate monitor for precise training, but regularly performs talk test checks to ensure that the perceived effort matches his heart rate. Next steps. Choose a method that matches your experience level, your equipment, and your goals. Track your results by recording heart rate and pace during your runs. Adjust as needed because no formula is perfect for everyone. Be patient and remember that improvements may take 4 to 8 weeks to become noticeable. Try this: set your watch to beep when your heart rate goes above your target zone. See how often it goes off. Next step is beyond numbers. Heart rate training is ultimately about developing body awareness, to really becoming in tune with our body and our mind, not just following strict numbers. As you practice these methods, you'll develop an intuition and that intuitive sense of effort that will serve you in your training and in your racing. Ask yourself, which of these methods feels most sustainable for my lifestyle? Am I willing to trust the process, even when that means slowing down initially? How might my training at the right intensity change my enjoyment of running? Chapter summary: multiple valid methods exist for determining your training zones, from equipment-free to laboratory testing. Combining methods often provides the most complete picture. Consistency with your chosen methods matters more than which method you choose. I know that was a lot to take in right there. This was just one chapter of 22 chapters of my book, Running Breakthroughs, that's out now. It takes a much deeper dive in a variety of these different topics. Also, what you will see in there are all of the different lessons, takeaways, and quotes from more than 10 years of podcasting. This is all from my different notebooks. After every episode of the podcast, I always wrote down, this is one of those nuggets that I wish to go back to again. So these are takeaways from Eliud Kipchoge, from Courtney Dauwalter, from Dr. Steven Seiler, from Lawrence Van Lingen, Dr. Phil Maffetone, a variety of great guests that I've had over time, now all combined into one book. The book is available now at florisgierman.com with several different bonuses if you buy one or more books. You can also find it on Amazon, you can find it on Barnes & Nobles and different specialty bookstores around the world. This book really means a lot to me. I've worked on it for more than 2 years. So far, I've already seen more than 130 5-star reviews on Amazon, and just reading the feedback from people of how much of an impact this has made on them personally really means a lot. If you would also like to find out more about my running coaching program, the Personal Best program, where we work with athletes, have a supportive community, have a supportive coaching staff available to help answer any questions that go much deeper, you can check that out at florisgierman.com. I wish you all the best on your running and health journey. Bye now.